Good evening. Welcome to the Yorktown Central School District Board of Education meeting for March 25th, 2019. And I have a motion to go into executive session with matters pertaining to the employment history of specific individuals and tenure review.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, can I have a motion to go back into public session?
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Welcome to the Yorktown Central School District Board of Education meeting for March 25th, 2019. Can we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance led by Colette and Anthony, and then remain standing for a moment of silence for our armed forces and those in our community who have lost loved ones, especially remember the grandparent of Ray Corza, the grandparent of Sheila Raleigh, the grandparent of Victoria Lukowski, the grandparent of Brian Powers, and the brother of Virginia Milano.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening. We're going to start with public comment. Anybody wishing to speak on agenda-related items? So then we can move on to good news. It looks like Brookside brought more than their students tonight.
I think I see a bag monster somewhere.
You do.
So welcome to our students from Brookside. It is so great to have you all here this evening. For the families here, it's so wonderful to welcome you to our Board of Education meeting this evening. At this point, before I turn it over to Mrs. Ammerling, I just want to take a moment to acknowledge the Brookside faculty and staff who are in the audience. Thank you so much for coming out on a Monday night. I really appreciate you all being here, so thank you. At this time, I'll turn the program over to Mrs. Ammerling because I am interested, and I believe the board is interested in hearing about the bag monster.
All right. Good evening, Dr. Hatter, Mrs. Carbone, Mr. Mangione, Ms. O'Shea, Mr. Cole, and board trustees. Thank you for having Brookside here this evening. I am so proud to be here with our first grade students, their teachers, and Mrs. Menzie. We have been working on a fabulous project over the past month with our students that is titled, Please Don't Feed the Bag Monster. This project started with conversations between me and Mrs. Menzie around the UN Sustainable Goals and the upcoming Earth Day. Mrs. Menzie was just itching to want to get a very special book into the students' thoughts and minds. So we will begin by letting you hear from our fabulous students first, and then Mrs. Menzie will share a few words with you about the students' journey in this project. So the boys and girls do want to introduce themselves to you first.
My name's Akanj. My teacher is Miss Ames.
My name's Riley, and I'm from Mrs. Ames.
My name's Madeline, and I'm from Mrs. Ames' class.
My name's Alina, and I'm from Mr. Owen's class. My name is Anthony. I'm from Mr. Owen's class.
My name is Debbie, and I'm from Mr. Owen's class. My name is Colette, and I'm from Mrs. Sassuso and Sabrina's class.
My name is Jason, and I'm in Mrs. Sansuso and Mrs. Sabrino's class.
My name is MJ, and I'm in Mrs. Sansuso's and Mrs. Sabrino's class.
My name's Sophie, and I'm in Miss Grass' class. My name is Emma, and I'm in Miss Grass' class.
My name is Adrian, and I'm in Miss Grass' class.
My name is Jonathan, and I'm from Mrs. Fry's class.
My name's Elena, and I'm from Mrs. Fry's class.
My name is Abby, and I'm from Mrs. Fry's class.
My first grade friends and I have been learning that plastic bags are a big problem for our environment, even when we recycle.
We started reading a book called One Plastic Bag, Isa 2, Cisse, and cycling woman from Gambia. In the book, we met Izatu Cisse and the women of her village in Africa. About 40 years ago, plastic bags were becoming a big problem for their village because the goats were eating them, the plastic in and dying.
The bags were making dirty piles of garbage. They attracted mosquitoes and weren't biodegrading.
Biodegrading is when nature breaks something down to very small pieces so it can become nature again. When they try to burn the plastic bags, the air burns their noses.
Isatu and her friends wanted to help solve the plastic bag problem in their village. They washed and dried the plastic bags, cut them into strips, and made them plastic yarn.
From the yarn, they made purses that they sold in the marketplace, which gave her money to buy more goods for her family. Soon her village was clean again. Then we started learning more about the recycling laws in Yorktown. We found out that plastic bags can't be put in the green recycling bin. In the green bins, we can recycle plastic and glass containers, cans, but not plastic bags. Plastic bags can be recycled, but not with other plastic.
Plastic bags have to be brought to stores that have special bins. Companies that recycle plastic bags come to the store and pick up the plastic bags. Plastic bags that are put in the green bin and brought to recycling plants will be thrown out in regular garbage. That's because plastic bags will jam up the recycling machine.
Then we used Google Expedition goggles to visit the recycling plant. When we virtually visited the recycling plant, we saw how they sorted the recyclables. We learned so many facts about how plastic bags are harmful to land and ocean animals.
Did you know that plastic garbage ends up in the ocean? Sea animals think it is food for them to eat.
Did you know that many ocean animals get tangled in the plastic bags? Over 100,000 ocean animals die every year this way.
We also learned that Americans throw away 100 billion plastic bags every year. That's about 307 bags per person.
Even if you use a plastic bag, it usually ends up in the garbage. And we know where garbage ends up in the landfill.
watched a short video about the life cycle of a plastic bag at a store. One bag got away from a family, and we watched it fly in the air over a city, across a park, into a stream, on the beach, and finally into the ocean.
After reading this story about Isatu Sise and learning about the danger of plastic bags, we were inspired to try to help our town use less plastic bags.
We collected plastic bags from home for 1 week and brought them to school. This is the plastic bag monster we made with all the bags.
What can we do? We decided that we weren't going to feed the plastic bag monster anymore.
We explained this problem to our families by writing letters to our parents, teaching them what we learned. We are so excited to bring our learning to the town board meeting on April 9th with the request to enact the Town of Yorktown ordinance regarding retail checkout bags.
We would like grocery stores to all switch to reusable grocery bags. We already use these bags sometimes. Now we have to use them all the time. We have to stop using plastic bags.
We hope you will help us spread the word. We have designed a Brookside reusable bag to draw attention to this issue and hope to see many people in our supermarkets using them. We have one for all of you tonight and hope you will help support our campaign.
So while our students are distributing our very own Brookside reusable bag, Ms. Menzie does want to take you through a little bit of the journey and the work that the students engaged in.
Good evening, everyone. We are surrounded by the most amazing quality literature that I get to share with our youngest students at Brookside. One Plastic Bag, Isatu Sise, and the Recycling Women of the Gambia is that incredible book. It puzzled us at first. Why did the women drop their plastic bags on the ground when they were done with them? We learned that they're used to using palm leaf baskets that biodegrade very easily. They weren't used to the plastic. Why did the goats eat the plastic bags? That puzzled us. We had a few theories. Maybe there was a little bit of food left over in some of the bags. Maybe they just didn't know any better because they were animals. It gave us so much to think about and so much to discuss. Finally, it inspired us to want to learn more about the plastic bag problem. From this beautifully illustrated 32-page picture book, our response grew and grew to become what it is today. The students shared with you just some of the facts that they have learned, but most importantly, it is my wish that they are a little bit changed by what they have learned and will help us all change our behaviors to help make our oceans healthier. Our one plastic bag, Issa Tusize, and the recycling women of the Gambia.
Thank you, Ms. Menzie. So I do thank you all for being here this evening. It is really an incredible visual to see this plastic bag monster. Again, it only represents 1 week's worth of the bags collected by one of our grade levels. If we had all of our students participate, we would have had 4 of these monsters here this evening. So it really is incredible to see the amount of bags and really understand where they end up. We are so grateful that Town Supervisor Gilbert, once he heard about our learning, did invite us to present at the town board meeting on April 9th. That is definitely something we are looking forward to. We are going to make a recommendation that evening to reduce or eliminate the use of these plastic bags in Yorktown and hope that they do enact that ordinance. I know that Dr. Hatter did share the teachers that are here. If you don't mind, I would just like to call them. A thank you to Mrs. Menzie for everything that you do in leading this work. To our first grade team of teachers, Mrs. DeBrino, Mrs. Ames, Ms. Graff, Mrs. Fry, Mr. Owens, Mrs. Santasuso, also here, Mrs. Morgante, Mrs. Moralia, and Ms. Grieve. Thank you for all your support. Thank you to our wonderful students here tonight, as well as all of the students that participated in this project. It was certainly a big learning journey for all of us. Thank you to our parents here tonight for coming out this evening and for always supporting us. And very special thank you to the Brookside PTA. They always support our projects. They really were behind us in creating this reusable bag. And we do hope to see these in our stores very soon instead of the plastics. Thank you for tonight to the board. Thank you for all your support of Brookside.
Thank you. We are always so impressed by our students, and now I'm feeling quite guilty because now I'm stopping plastic bags, I promise, because you guys made us feel really bad. That was a great learning lesson for all of us, and I guess that's one of the things we always learn when our students come here. They teach us a lot, so I'm really, really impressed with it, and I just thank you for everything you've done.
Absolutely. That visual is so powerful. But before I talk about the learning, boys and girls, I just want to congratulate you. You did such a great job. It's not easy to stand up in front of a microphone and talk. It's not easy to stand in front of a microphone and talk in front of all these adults in the room, and you did such a beautiful job. And hearing you read and hearing how the reading has come along is so amazing. So boys and girls, well done. I am so, so, so proud of you. You did such a great job. Parents, thank you so much for entrusting us with your children. It means so much to us. They are wonderful. You send us such great children, such happy children every day, and it's just a joy to work with them. Now, in terms of the learning, that visual is so powerful. That is unbelievable. As I thought about how many plastic bags I put in the garbage this weekend, I'm feeling pretty guilty. I just want to go back, but today was garbage day, so they took my garbage already, but no more. I will be using this and a few others. So boys and girls, I learned a lot from you tonight, and I appreciate you being here. Now, we have a long meeting ahead of us. So you're all welcome to stay. There will be some great presentations. I'm giving a budget presentation. We're going to talk about lights. It's going to be absolutely wonderful. But then again, I know there are bedtimes that we have to be mindful of with children of this age. So we'll take a brief intermission to allow you to celebrate your wonderful children. Have a great night, and I hope to see you all soon.
All right, so now that we all have our guilt on because we use plastic bags,
I told the guy at ShopRite to double bag it because I thought the cans of tomato sauce were going to come through. I feel so bad. Never again.
now you're going to be here with
I
this.
feel so bad.
These don't break.
These don't break,
I
that's
know.
right.
No, these are wonderful.
These are good,
So
you can
great.
wash them.
Yeah.
All right, are we ready?
Yes, yes. So we have a very special part of our superintendent's report, and if it's okay, I'm just going to make my way to the podium for this.
What?
That sound is the person behind the person. So we in Yorktown are so fortunate to have two of the most talented technological minds in our region working in our district. One, unfortunately, will be retiring at the end of the year, although I did threaten to lay down in front of her car if that would get her to stay, but she said it wouldn't work. And we're just so grateful to have Patrice for as long as we have had her. She's brought so much to our district. We shared at the Tell Awards, and I'll speak more about that momentarily, but we shared her impact on this school district, and her impact, I would say, is unrivaled by anyone in the history of this district when you think about what she has shepherded into this district. Wireless technology, Chromebooks, a one-to-one initiative in grades 4 through 12, email. She brought email to Yorktown. And every other piece of technology from when she began in this district in 1997. I'm so amazed to work with her as a colleague. What I love most about Patrice is I could share with her the most far-fetched and forward-thinking and visionary idea, and Patrice will look at me, smile, and say, yeah, we can make that happen. And regardless of what the ask is, Patrice is able to meet the demands. And I've been so fortunate to work with her, even though for a short time, and her impression on the district and the mark she's left on the district will last for several decades. She was honored Friday at the Lower Hudson Regional Information Center's Tell Awards. And she was honored as a 2018-19 Tell Award winner for Outstanding Partner, which is their premier award that they hand out annually. Patrice was surprised by this honor. She was fortunate enough to have her assistant reach out to her son and her daughter, and they were in attendance to celebrate with Patrice. Many of her colleagues were there. Lisa was there. I was there. Dr. Roberts was there as well, and Amanda, of course, was there, as was Patrice's assistant, Lana Magro. And Patrice came up to the podium, and she commanded the attention of the room. She was just spectacular in her acceptance award, and to think that she did so on the fly was really impressive. So beside Patrice is Amanda Burns, who is also someone who is extraordinary, and it's such an honor to work with her, and what she has done for our school district, at least in my tenure, has been extraordinary, absolutely extraordinary, and I'm so impressed with the work she's done, specifically in our K-5, but throughout the district. I know when I have a question, the first person I go to is Amanda with a question, and on Friday, March 22nd, she was honored as an outstanding innovative teacher, and it's so well deserved. It's so well deserved. She's building capacity in our schools. She's doing so much to support our teachers, so much to support our students. She was joined by her parents, her sister, her husband, and that beautiful little girl in the back, Lillian. And Lillian's here tonight with Amanda's husband as well. Hi, Lillian. Okay, we got a wave. So at this time, my words don't do justice to the impact that Amanda has had. And Amanda was one of the best speakers at the Tell Awards. So what I did was I asked Amanda to present the video that she presented at the Tell Awards, just chronicling her journey over the past couple years in eSTEAM and what she has done. And at this time, I would like to call both Patrice and Amanda to the podium to accept their certificates and to accept congratulations from the board. And then I'll invite Amanda to share her video. So Patrice and Amanda, congratulations. So at this time, Amanda, if you can just join me at the podium, and if you can introduce the video that you've created. It's something we're so proud of. It's something that we'd love to post to our website so that all of our community can enjoy this video. Amanda, if you can introduce it.
Sure. I just have 2 slides before. Okay. Good evening, Dr. Hatter, Lisa O'Shea, Tom Cole, and the entire Board of Education. I am delighted to share with you a portion of my presentation from Friday's Tell Award ceremony, where I was recognized as one of 3 outstanding innovative teachers throughout the Lower Hudson Valley. I would like to thank Dr. Lori Roberts, for nominating me, my beloved Director of Technology for the past 13 years, Patrice Hattie George, who also received the award of Innovative Partner, and all the administrators, teachers, staffs, and students who I've worked with during my career here. This is just an ever-growing list of technology tools we use to enhance learning within Yorktown. I always tell the teachers and students these are simply tools. It's all about how you use them that matters. The goal is not that everyone learns every tool, but rather they find a tool that best fits their task and in return has an even greater product. As they say, a picture is worth 1,000 words. So rather than talk about these tools, I'd like to share with you the video I created of them in use by the staff and students throughout our schools. While observing, please take note of the collaboration, communication, critical thinking, and creativity that each person expresses. would only be fitting that I included you all in my presentation because I feel that Yorktown is full of learners, not just the students, but the adults too. The last slide, if I can get it with this, or Yvette. The last slide features the lyrics to this song that I played in the video, A Million Dreams, which is sung by Pink. I'm not sure what you think of when you lie in bed, but I know I often think of my job and how I can do something new or different to make an impact on the people I am with. Thank you for allowing me time to share my presentation with you.
That was absolutely wonderful. And when I tell you that the audience at the Tell Awards, the audience was completely speechless, I would say that that was an understatement. That presentation was remarkable. The effect that Amanda and Patrice have had on eSteam and our journey forward is remarkable, and I think that that video really demonstrates the impact to some extent. The biggest impact, honestly, is the effect that it's had on teaching and learning, and the effect that Amanda and Patrice have had on teaching and learning in our district, and they are just so invaluable. So next year we'll bring an interesting challenge as we try to fill the Director of Technology position, but we are going to enjoy the next 3 months as much as we can and savor every moment of it. So Amanda, Patrice, thank you so much for everything that you do for the Yorktown schools. We will quickly transition to, I don't know if there are any comments that are to be made.
Well, we know that Patrice is going to be missed, and if we could all lie down in front of her car, we would. We won't guilt you at all. I know. I know. I'll call you and let you know how fine it is. You will be truly missed, but you truly have brought innovation to this district that's incredible. I remember when you couldn't put Google Earth on, when 1 megabyte was all we had in the pipes. So it's an amazing journey. And Amanda, you're just incredible. Everything you touch is gold around here. You just do such a wonderful job. You always have a smile on your face, and you are always willing to teach anybody anything they ask. So you're amazing, so we thank you. I don't know if anybody else wants to add anything? No?
Okay. So on that note, we'll quickly pivot to our budget presentation. After a really long and very thorough and intensive process, I stand before you this evening prepared to present the superintendent's budget to the board. And we'll be happy to answer any questions that you have at the end of the presentation. Before we begin, I do want to acknowledge my colleagues in the audience from district office and from each of the schools. I appreciate them being here this evening. I want to acknowledge the work of Mr. Cole and his staff in assembling the budget. It's not easy work. Although Mr. Cole makes it look easy, it's really difficult work, and we're so fortunate to have someone as gifted as he is leading us in that department. And Mrs. O'Shea is my right-hand person in all of these matters, and I just appreciate all the insights and the wisdom that she's provided throughout the process. We begin this presentation by shining a light on what matters most to us, and that's educating the whole child and looking at every aspect of the child to ensure that a student's needs are being met. The academics are important, but so are all the other things. And all of those other things are built on our 2020 vision. And you've seen this vision before, I won't read it to you, but the ultimate goal is to build the capacity in our children to influence positive change in the world. And our vision statement can be summarized in one term, and that's eSteam. It's an empathy-based approach to STEAM instruction, or an empathy-based approach to creativity and innovation. Now, I've used this quote in so many of my presentations. I will continue to use this quote because I believe that the budget tells the story of a school district. And this quote by Aristotle really resonates with me in the development of our budget. We are what we repeatedly do, and excellence is not an act, it's a habit. And that habit is something that has resulted in outcomes that rival the very best schools in the nation. Our instructional program is wonderful. It's appropriately rigorous. Our outcomes are amongst the best in the country with regard to our character education program, our academics, our graduation rates, our college acceptances. Our students are some of the most generous and selfless people in the region. They volunteer their time, they raise money, they collect supplies for people who are underprivileged. And our eSTEAM approach is revolutionary. It's changing teaching and learning, and we have many districts who are looking to us. In fact, Crampon hosted a visit a couple weeks ago of a neighboring school district interested in replicating our eSTEAM model in their district. We offer so many opportunities for children as part of our budget. More than 70 co-curricular clubs and 60 interscholastic athletic teams. Our students are exceeding our expectations, achieving at the highest levels. We have all section, all league, all state, Con Edison scholars, and New York State scholar athletes. Just want to share, before we get into the numbers of a budget, I just want to share some of the things that are happening with our budget and some of the things that our budget are providing to our students. Last year, as part of our eSTEAM approach, some of our kindergarten teachers decided to look at Humpty Dumpty, the nursery rhyme that we all know and love, a little differently. They decided to change up their end-of-unit activity on nursery rhymes and design a protective casing for Humpty Dumpty, so that when Humpty Dumpty would fall off the wall, we would understand how he was feeling, and we can support Humpty Dumpty. Well, we took that up a notch. That was last year. This year, the project looked a little different. Rather than being in classrooms, dropping Humpty Dumpty in his protective casing from the height of a chair, we went outside and used our bucket truck, and the O&M department assisted us in this, dropping Humpty Dumpty from 18 feet in the air. All of our kindergarten students participated, and we had high school students come down to mentor our kindergarten students in their designs. And our students are becoming remarkable engineers because the vast majority of the eggs did not crack from 18 feet in the air. Last year, we started our very first robotics team, and their results are unparalleled. They qualified as one of the top teams in the world, and they went off to Detroit last year. This year, we took another giant step forward. Not only is the robotics team in their second year, we started an FLL team, and who better to mentor them than our FRC, our first robotics competition team. That's a picture of the captain of the team working with the FLL team at one of their practices. And when it came time to host our second First LEGO League event, who volunteered their time but our robotics team? Our students at Crampon took a very clever twist on the television show Shark Tank, and they made Empatank. And they used LEGO We-Dos to design products that could better our world. And they had to sell the judges on investing in their products. I was moved to tears by the demonstration of empathy and kindness coupled with innovation and creativity. We also took on Kids for Kindness, which is a joint venture, a collaboration between our students at Mohansick and at Crampon. This is an event that was held at Crampon last week that invited senior citizens into our campus to participate in arts and craft activities with our children. They designed wreaths where the decorations on the wreaths were cutouts of their hands, and each of the seniors left with a decorated wreath and a kindness jar that had some very kind sayings in it, so if they ever needed a boost, they can just reach into that jar and have a very encouraging word to touch upon. We've truly become the home of eSTEAM. And thanks to our budget, we've been able to fortify our program. Most importantly, it's changed our practice. We've grown our practice. We've built capacity in our students. We've hosted so many events. Our robotics team is wonderful. They actually finished top in our region at this weekend's tournament. They finished 5th out of more than 40 teams, which is phenomenal. We had 5 students qualify for ISEF at the WESF tournament from not this past weekend, but the weekend before that. We've done so many wonderful things. Last year, you recall, we talked about many articles. There were articles that were published on eSTEAM Well, this year we've taken the next step forward. We're presenting eSTEAM at conferences. We presented at the New York State School Boards Association Conference in New York City. We presented at the Putnam Northern Westchester BOCES annual conference in December. We presented at the ASEL in Albany. We presented, I would count Amanda's acceptance as a presentation on eSTEAM because that was the predominant focus of her talk. So we've moved from articles now to presentations and hosting visitations. At this time, there's always a face. There are children behind the budget. And I'd like to introduce you to some of the students who are behind our budget. The dollars we spend go to support their learning and enrich their learning. So I'd like to call Aislinn, Sam, and Abby to the podium with me. And Aislinn, I was told, wore her twirliest dress tonight. Is that true? There she is. Okay, she's right behind me. Aislinn, do you have your twirliest dress on tonight? Yes, she does, and she told me that she does. Oh, are you going to twirl? Oh. Wow. Twirliest dress. So Aislinn's going to share. Aislinn's in what grade, Aislinn? First grade. And Aislinn has been in our schools for 2 years, and she's going to share with us a little bit about what it's like going to school here. Oh, Aislinn, why don't you go in front of the podium? Right there. Perfect.
Hi, my name is Aislinn. I go to Mohansic School, and I'm in first grade. I'm here to share some of my favorite things about STEAM. One of my favorite projects we've done was made in the milk pail. So we had to find a way to be able to get the milk across without spilling it. That was kind of a hard challenge because, at first people thought of walkers bouncing it on her head, but bouncing it on her head was part of the story. So we didn't want to do that. And then we had no idea what to do. But I came up with some sort of bucket thing that she could use to carry the milk across. It was really hard to build because I needed cups, string, tape. So that was a hard one. Another project we did was Spookly. We had to find a way to prevent him from getting into the water. It was hard because, how do you prevent a pumpkin from getting into the water? We came up with a slide that has a basketball hoop that the pumpkins can go through to get it in without getting in the river. There was a box at the end to catch the pumpkins.
Great job, Aislinn. Thank you. You want to speak too? Yeah. So Colin is Aislinn's brother, and he would like to share. He's in 4th grade, and he wants to share some of his experiences as well.
Hi, my name is Colin, and I'm 4th grade. One of my experiences in eSTEAM was we're building a smart city, and we have to make a robot to help. And I'm with a partner named Ava, not here today. But we're doing this wildlife protection robot. It's a sensor, and then it detects a coyote is there. And then another, we did these breakout things. There's a Halloween one, a winter, and a Valentine's Day one. But you have to find a code. It's kind of a problem. And there's you have to make a code of numbers, shapes, letters, and colors.
Okay.
So from one brother-sister team who are in the earlier grades to another brother-sister team who are in the 11th grade currently at Yorktown High School, I'd like to introduce you to Sam and Abby Milhaven.
Hi. That's good. So, good evening. I am Sam Milhaven. Oh, okay. Well, how would we take it out now? Good evening. I am Sam Milhaven.
And I am Abby Milhaven.
We're juniors here at Yorktown High School. It is an honor for us to speak to you tonight, and we'd like to take a few minutes to share a little bit about our experiences at YHS, our favorite classes, favorite after-school activities, and how the Yorktown School District is preparing us for our future.
Some of our favorite classes are social studies, band, English, and science. In social studies, we learn about the past and analyze how events in our history can help us learn about issues today and how to provide potential solutions. In band, we learn not only about dynamics, balance, intonation, and other musical techniques, but also the history, feeling, and meaning of the pieces we play. I can't express how grateful I am about the band program and how much it offers to each and every one of the students that takes part in it. It has helped us grow as musicians, students, friends, and become better people.
In English, we were able to walk a mile in someone else's shoes through literature, providing us with valuable insight into others' experiences that we would not be able to experience as students here. In science, we learn about physics, chemistry, and earth science. How to observe, think critically, develop a theory, and then test that theory. Valuable experiences, whether we enter the sciences or not. Useful life skills in general.
Outside of our regular classes, we enjoy a number of extracurricular activities that the school offers. We are both members of the school's cross-country and track teams. Being a part of this group means that we're not just competing as a team, but we are also competing against ourselves. We've learned that the most satisfying victory is when we can improve on our best time in a race, even if it's just by 1 second. Oh, sorry. While band is one of our regular classes, there are also many aspects of band that take place outside of school. For example, this year in Wind Ensemble, the Wind Ensemble is going to New York City for their music festival trip. We will take part in a number of phenomenal activities which will help us learn what it's like to be a professional musician and the history behind the pieces we will be performing at the festival. One of these activities will be participating in a master class led by the West Point Military Academy Band, in which the Yorktown students will sit side by side and play with their musicians.
We are also both part of the school robotics team. Being a part of this team has been an incredible experience. We have learned how to build the robots and how to write the programs that make them run. Sometimes we fail. A lot of times we fail. The robot doesn't always work the way we expect it to, but this gives us the experience of learning critical problem-solving skills, and that makes our accomplishments that much more rewarding. This experience in robotics has helped prepare me for a future career in mechanical or electrical engineering, but it has also given me so much more as well. We've also learned important skills just beyond engineering and programming, such as marketing and communications, skills that we will be able to use in the future no matter what career we enter. Our mission is to build and inspire. We build more than robots. We build the future.
While I have not decided what my future career path may be, I am confident that I am ready for whatever the future may hold. My experience here at Yorktown High School have prepared me in so many ways. Whether it is a career in robotics, or in music, or maybe something else, I know I will be ready, and that's because of everything I've learned here and the wonderful support that we receive from our teachers, administration, and community.
Thank you.
Very well done. Abby, that was wonderful.
Thank
I
you.
figured our students could always say it better than I can. They're so articulate, just so wonderful. Thank you to Mr. and Mrs. Milhaven, Mr. and Mrs. Alangi, for having your children join me in this presentation. I really appreciate your support. I know it's late. I know it's a school night, so thank you so much for supporting this. There are so many other programs beyond the STEAM subjects and beyond athletics. We support the arts, we support character education, we support humanitarian efforts, we support so many aspects of our children's lives. With regard to some of the challenges that face us, well, enrollment, at least for the very short term, for next year, doesn't appear to be one of those challenges. Our enrollment looks relatively stable. However, we don't know what lies ahead in the future with regard to developments. We will certainly use Dr. Seversky's enrollment projections and his demographic study as a touchstone in our work moving forward, and we'll certainly maintain contact with Dr. Seversky to assist us project into the future. With regard to pension costs and health insurance costs are modestly up by $260,000, and our employee contribution rate for the pension program is decreasing to 8.86%, so it's a savings just under $750,000. Now, there are some key components to the 1920 budget. So first and foremost, our class sizes will be maintained at or below the board guidelines. That's a certainty. Our 1920 budget ensures that all the programs remain intact. All the wonderful offerings that we have for students, our extracurriculars, our athletic programs, our programs that are part of the instructional day will be preserved and remain intact. There are additional support positions, including a school counselor at the elementary level. There's a New York State mandate that is coming through effective July 1st that will require the delivery of a core school counsel guidance program in our schools at the elementary level to be delivered by a school counselor, so that work certainly is ahead for us. There are some contingency resources that are in the budget to offset some of the potential enrollment needs that we may face. My first summer here in the district, we enrolled 64 new students that summer. That was something that, had we not been prepared, it would have presented quite a challenge for us. We're also looking toward a new K-5 mathematics program and certainly continuing to build our capacity in eSTEAM. With regard to eSTEAM, some of the investments we're looking at for next year are new courses in engineering and app development. Those are some really, really exciting opportunities for our students that Mrs. O'Shea, Mr. DeGennaro, his team, and some of our teachers have been involved in developing. We're certainly going to continue to make investments in coding and robotics and pushing those down to the earlier grades so that we can build this wonderfully strong feeder system. We'll continue to look at our facilities to ensure that they're prepared to meet the demands. If you looked at the video that Ms. Burns showed, the facilities were really important pieces in the equation. And certainly looking at eSTEAM staffing opportunities, Amanda's wonderful. Her only limitation is that she's one person, and that honestly is her only limitation. With regard to how the budget dollars are allocated, 74% go to salaries and benefits. We are in a people business, so it's only fitting that 74 cents of every dollar are invested in people. And the remainder are certainly in contractual costs, equipment, principal and interest, and interfund transfers. There's also the capital reserve that's worthy of discussion. So the voters authorized a capital reserve 2 years ago, and last year our voters authorized a withdrawal of $4 million to pursue some projects that were really important to the district, and those projects are listed here on the slide. I won't read through them. The steering committee of the district has been actively involved in the planning of these projects to ensure that some will begin this summer, the summer of 2019. We haven't started sooner because there's a whole state education department approval process, and of course you don't want to disrupt the buildings while children are in them learning. And certainly we're working towards some projects for the summer of 2020. We are also going to be seeking an additional $4 million withdrawal to look at some various really important projects throughout the district, including air conditioning in some of our large instructional spaces, looking at our district-wide eSTEAM spaces to make sure that they are aligned with the instructional vision of the district, renovations to our Yorktown High School guidance suite, some security upgrades, looking at security cameras that have cloud storage capabilities, that have analytic capabilities that can really get us ahead of the curve, and some other necessary renovations and upgrades that accompany these projects. In terms of the impact to the 1920 budget, the budget-to-budget change is 0.25%, and the tax rate changes, again, all estimated in the town of Yorktown, are 2/3%, so 0.67, in Yorktown, a decrease of 0.85% in Newcastle, and a 2.42 increase in Cortland. Again, all estimated at this point, but the budget-to-budget change is 0.25%. We're progressing through our journey of the budget development process. This evening, I present my budget to you, and it's not my budget, it's my team's budget. It's our students' budget. It's our district's budget for your consideration. My hope is that you'll adopt the budget on April 8th, and certainly if there are any questions or anything that we need to explore further, we're happy to do that. Budget hearing is scheduled for May 13th, and finally, the budget vote and trustee election will be held on May 21st. Just an example of just a sampling of some of the presentations that have been given throughout this process, and all of these presentations are available on our website for the public to view. Mr. Cole did a wonderful job of presenting them in a very clear, concise way, so they're very easy to follow online, and certainly you can look at the archived records of our meetings if you're looking for the narration to go along with the presentations. And finally, the budget vote and trustee election is May 21st at Mohansick Elementary School from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. Last year, you'll recall, we had this crazy storm. Power was out, and we held our voting by flashlight and candlelight. My hope is that we'll have better weather for this go-round, but during my tenure, weather and I have not had the best of relationships, so that is yet to be determined. At this point, we're happy to take any questions that you may have, and I'll do that from my seat, and Mr. Cole and I will be here to answer any questions you have.
Thank you, and thank you for those extremely cute kids. They are wonderful at all levels. Pete, do you have any questions?
No, I think the whole budget process was very informative, very structured in a way, and we got to ask all our questions all the way through the process, so, no.
Mike? Nope. Rashmi? Nope. Cheryl? Lisa?
No, no questions. Just thank you for all your hard work, all of you.
Okay. So if there are any questions or comments between now and the next meeting, can you get them to me and I'll get them to Ron so we can do whatever we need to do?
Will do.
All right. Thank you very much. So we're done with the budget presentation? Awesome. Awesome. We're up to our last presentation. We have break, Corp?
Yes.
Okay.
So as you recall, at our last meeting, we discussed the possibility of LED lighting throughout the district, and there were some questions that arose that I thought it wise to invite our guests from Brightcore here to present to the board, also to answer any questions that you have with regard to the cost, the financing, the impact, and whatever other questions that you have. So Ron and Jody French have been kind enough to join us. They've been wonderful partners throughout, and I welcome them to the podium at this time.
Thank you, Dr. Hatter, and thank you, Board of Education, for having us here. As Dr. Hatter mentioned, I'm joined by my partner both in business and in life, my wife, Jody. Do you want me to go through page by page, or how do you want, what approach do you want me to take here? We distributed a presentation to you all, and I know I'm last, and I'm going to try to be respectful of time. I think that, and I'll try to interweave a little bit of what's gone on prior to me being up here. One, there's an environmental benefit to LED lighting that, in parallel to the bag monster. There's a technology benefit to moving from fluorescent lighting to LED lighting, so with respect to your technology platform. And finally, from a budget standpoint, this is a net gain to the budget, so hopefully that's what we're looking at here as well. So do you have a preference of?
Let them go through the budget because the presentation, because then it's going to be on TV and people in the community will have an opportunity to see it.
Do you think we should talk through?
I'm happy to go through and just whatever you find the best way.
Why doesn't he go through it, and then we can always put the presentation up on our website if somebody wants to go through it? Do you want to do it that way?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm on slide 2 here, a little bit about Brightcore Energy. We do LED conversions for commercial accounts, education accounts, that's basically converting fluorescent lighting to LED lighting. And along with that comes lower energy cost and environmental benefits and savings. We've done, on page 3, we've done projects throughout Westchester with Chappaqua, with Byram Hills, with Pleasantville, and we're actively working with many districts right now. So we created a product that we named Bright EDU, which is the combination of LED lighting, a financing component so that there is no money out of pocket for this. The principal impediment for LED lighting has always been capital expenditure. So there's a financing component that matches the life of the product with the financing term. We provide a warranty on the product for the entirety of that term, and we take care of all of the conversion. So in your case, what we're looking at is relamping existing fixtures wherever those are possible to do. So like in the cafeteria, we would be replacing all these fluorescent bulbs with new LED bulbs. Fixture by fixture, that's about a 59% reduction in kilowatt hours in terms of what the cost is of running this lighting. So it's substantial, and that's pretty similar to what we see throughout the district. In the gyms and exterior lighting, we would put new fixtures that would provide superior lighting in the gymnasiums over what you have today. There's also an option for us to do new theater lighting, and all of this product, the estimated life of the product is approximately 15 years. Some of it longer, none of it shorter. So to get to the proposal, page 5, we did an extensive audit of the facilities here over multiple days and identified that there's close to 7,500 lighting fixtures in the district that we could convert from fluorescent to LED. That will take overall estimated kilowatt hour consumption in the year from 1.9 million kilowatt hours to about 800,000 kilowatt hours. So it's about a 59% reduction across the board. So it's significant, and you know, and a large opportunity for you. Page 6 is we would work with the state education department in order to secure funding for this lighting. So we've assumed you're eligible for 50%. We sort of randomly put a fudge factor in there to say we got 85% of that number, so we used a number of 42.5% to try to be conservative. So in order to do that, there's an expedited review process that would cost a little bit more, so it takes less time to get it through for approval. There's also requirements from SED on engineering and design work that we've included in the proposal. So the estimated amount of building aid that we think we can get for you on this is approaching $500,000. So in addition to the energy benefits, in addition to there are incentives from the utility, there's also SED funding available that we would get for you. So putting all those things together, on page 7, then we're showing what the overall benefit would be financially. So in the first column, we're showing if you wanted to pay cash for this, it would be net of the incentives from the utility. It would be roughly $1.2 million, and that's to retrofit 7,500 fixtures throughout the district. That would have a 6.5-year payback, and over a 15-year term would save you $1.745 million. And that, again, that's coming from SED funding, utility incentives, and lower utility bills. In the case of Bright EDU, which is the center column, what we're doing is financing that, assisting you on the finance of that with a municipal tax-free lease. It's a non-appropriating financial vehicle, which means it doesn't encumber future years' budgets, but it would allow you to do all of that without coming out of pocket with any capital expense, and better matching the cost of the equipment with the savings of the equipment. So that, over a 15-year period, would save you $1.4 million. On a present value basis, those two are getting very close, right? Because one of them, you have to go out of pocket by $1.2 million initially versus not at all. And then the final one is, the final column on the right is if you were to finance it over with a municipal tax-free lease over a 15-year period. So that would be a little less than $1.3 million. Page 8 is just another way of showing that. It's important to remember in this, you're actually not spending money. You're taking money you're going to spend anyway with the utility and reallocating it to financing of new energy efficient lighting. So the missed opportunity would be, on the part of a 10-year plan would be $1.4 million, and on the 15-year plan would be roughly $1.3 million. The environmental impact on page 9 shows the equivalence in terms of annually of reducing your kilowatt hours by 1.1 million kilowatt hours. So that's the equivalent of 87,000 gallons of gasoline, or planting 914 acres of trees, however you want to dimensionalize that. So it's significant. So it's, again, 59% reduction that this technology allows you to do. Page 10, we pulled out the theater project separately. The cost of the theater project, again, on a cash basis, would be $183,000. We would have to do minimal engineering work, and we think that we could get you, again, 42% of that back. With LED lighting, the more the lighting is on, the more you save. So in high-use areas, you'll save more money. In a theater lighting project, it's not about the savings as much as it is about better lighting, better longevity of that lighting. So the payback's not as much, but then again, it's a small project against a very large district. So if we, page 11, this is the SED assumptions with just adding the theater lighting in. Says we would now think we can get you $556,000 of building aid. So that's all the base lighting plus the theater lighting gets you to that number. And page 12 totals that with the theater lighting in. So the cash price goes up a little bit. The total 10-year savings is at $1.3 million and a little less than $1.2 million on the 15-year. So I should point out, because I think this is the important part, is on the 10-year, on this, the net savings that you would have every year for those 15 years is $89,000. So there's significant savings to the district in addition to a better quality light at a much reduced energy consumption. All right, I'm going to stop there for questions.
Okay. Oh, first, thank you for coming tonight, and thank you for sitting through everything else first. So we really appreciate it.
You know what? That's the highlight of my week. So seriously.
We appreciate it. Lisa, did you have questions?
So I need some time to absorb all of this. But there was a question we had raised at the board meeting when this was first discussed, when the steering committee brought it to us, and it was a question Rashmi had raised and that was about the lighting and the studies with respect to headaches. Are you aware that we had raised that question, and can you address that?
Yes. And so I think the comment that I heard was it wasn't recommended for somebody to put in their home because their child may be subject to migraines. And so there's a little bit of a difference between a home environment and a school environment. First of all, in the home, in a lot of cases, what people have realized is if they're on dimmer switches, they don't work particularly well unless they're dimmer switches that were specifically for LED lighting. The electric draw on it is so low that it starts to flicker as you get down to the lower amounts of dimming. So you actually can see the flicker, and even before it starts to flicker, it's sort of like, subliminally, you can see that. The other thing in the home is people will get the wrong color light. LED lighting comes in degrees of Kelvin. So typically in a home, you'd want a warm yellow light, which is around 2700 Kelvin. But a lot of people buy it and think, oh, I want daylight in my home, and that's 5000 Kelvin. And so you're dealing with a very harsh blue light. In the school environment, and it's required by SED, you're going to see that we replace all of these tubes, but we also have to replace the driver that goes to those, so it's compatible with the LED light, so there's not going to be flicker. We also have to replace all the wiring in there, and we have to replace the tombstones on the end, which are the little ceramics that the bulb twists into. Without that, it doesn't qualify for SED funding. So there will not be flicker in that light, and we will set it to the temperature that you tell us to. Usually that's, in a school setting, that's usually 4000 or 4100 Kelvin. So I'm not, beyond that, I'm not aware of it being an issue, and LED lights are going into most school systems are trying to deal with it for the very reason that we're looking at here, which is to reduce energy usage and save money.
So you're not aware
I'm not.
of any studies that show in a school environment that there's been complaints of headaches or?
No, and so the other thing we did is let me get his name. We talked to, so most of the lighting that we're proposing to go in here is from General Electric. And we talked to Sri Ram, who has his master's degree in physics and works for the GE Lighting Institute in Neela Park, Cleveland, and went through this with him, and he said he's not really aware. Now, if somebody gets a migraine, you don't exactly know what caused it, but there's not a study that's saying that it is coming from LED lighting.
Okay, thanks.
In fact, in many cases, like flicker and things, an LED is much less than it is in fluorescent lighting.
Okay, thanks.
Cheryl?
Yes, I have a question around the utility company incentives. Do you actively pursue, by the year, the incentives that the utility companies put out there, and how does that work into the numbers that you've put forward?
Yes, so we have assumed that, and it's at our risk, there's $112,000 that we can get in utility incentives, and that's under their current program. So from NICEC, yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right, thank you.
And that's netted into the cost. So we're figuring what the state aid is and everything, and that ultimately we get to a number that's the net to the district.
Okay.
Rashmi?
I'm just going to go over some of the questions that I had emailed out, to you guys. So first off, thank you for the, clarity on the, on the migraine issue. I don't think it was specifically home versus a school environment. We have them, in the workplace as well, and, we have the same issues that we, that we just talked about. So I know you mentioned that you work with other school districts. So, and I think I heard Chappaqua, and there was Pleasantville. So how long have you how long has it been since the installation in those districts?
So Chappaqua, we did the entirety of the school district and finished. There's a lot of like extra projects that came along, but it was mostly done by the end of the summer. But we've done some things since then.
Right. So it's been installed for about a year, would you say?
Yeah.
Or, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
How about Pleasantville? Did they do everything at once, or did this?
Pleasantville did not. So there's a number of things at play here. One is, what some school districts come to us and say, hey, I've got an extra $100,000 in the budget. Could you do my gymnasium? Could you do the cafeteria, whatever, however far that would go. And others would look at, doing something more district-wide. In your case, with such a great reimbursement on the SED side, this makes more, in our view, makes more sense to do as one all-encompassing project. And so, schools like Chappaqua or Pleasantville don't have that SED rate.
Right.
So it's less of an opportunity to be cash flow positive on a financed project.
But it is possible for us to stagger it. So if we wanted to, let's say, do the bigger spaces, the gymnasiums, the cafeteria, is that an option for us?
You could do that, but it's foregone savings. So by waiting, that it does mean that you're running the inefficient lighting that you have there today that much longer.
Now, I understand that, instead of the 10-year, now, we are into an 11-year cycle. I get that. But, I'm asking if that's even possible.
Yes.
And then two more questions that I had. So one is, do you have some kind of a feedback process from places where you do replace the lighting? Like, do you have some kind of a process set up for the schools or wherever you work with other institutions for them to give you guys feedback on how things are working and?
So we hold a warranty on the product, so there's no cost to the district for anytime a light fixture wasn't working. So there's that feedback loop, which is we hear immediately that we have to replace something. Typically, that's just after installation, and then once things are solidified, there's very little activity there. So I don't know if that's what you were looking for.
Right. A year is a short time to, get feedback.
Well, what
yeah.
we're looking at in these LED bulbs from GE, they have an estimated life of 70,000 hours. So not only has the technology become less expensive than it was, we couldn't have this discussion 5 years ago. So it's gotten significantly less expensive, and the reliability has gone up tremendously. So if you had them on these lights are on estimated over 4,000 hours per year, because this is a high-use area. So 70,000 hours gives it a lifetime right around 15 years. And so that's the expectation. And in fact, where you see a lot of LED lighting going in is the most difficult places to light. So it goes on, you see it on the highway, on all of the street lighting now, because of not only because it costs less to run, but because that's really expensive to change. So the reliability is one of the hallmarks of the product versus what we've seen in the past with fluorescents.
Our warranty is, the year is for labor and materials, but there's a 10-year material.
Yeah, so over the first year, there's no cost to you. We will come in and replace that. If there's a problem after that through year 10, we'll just supply you with new LED bulbs.
With the fixtures itself, right.
Yeah.
So this is my final question about the warranty. So I understand that the bulbs themselves have a warranty of 10 years. So I hope, it doesn't get to it, but let's say BrightCore was not, around in, 7 years, for example. So are we still good with the warranty, or what happens to that?
You're covered by the manufacturer's warranty for as long as that's in place.
Yeah.
If they're still in business, that would also be an issue. We tend to only pick tier 1 product, so from companies that have the financial wherewithal, because there's a lot of LED companies out there, so we're choosing, you'll see in the product selection RAB, RAB for exterior. That's one of the premier exterior lighting companies. You'll see Lithonia, which is the largest lighting company in the U.S. for the lighting that's going into the gym, and for these LED tubes, it's for GE. If BrightCore is no longer in the picture, that means I haven't done my job very well, or the market's changed or something, and so you wouldn't have recourse to us. You'd only have recourse to the manufacturer.
Right.
But we're aligned in this with the warranties because we're picking product that we think is going to be very reliable, that this is not low-cost, unreliable product. So we're aligned in that. We think we're picking the best product for you.
Okay. And I know that you have the number of the fixtures themselves, and maybe I missed it somewhere in the presentation. Now, are these warm white bulbs? The ones that are going to the classroom spaces, or what's?
So we didn't pick a temperature on these yet.
Okay.
That would be up to you to tell us. We have taken readings in the rooms, and we can tell you what's there. And if you want us to replace in like kind, we would do that. Or, there's certainly more time here to finalize what the exact scope of work is. We've been through it to a great degree, but if we typically like to do a classroom at first, so people can look at it and see it and say, yes, that's what I want, because we don't want to install something and people say we're not real happy. But most of the time, we're just trying to meet the light levels that are in the room, or meet the light levels that are required by the state. So they're looking at what we're doing in order to provide that funding, and we've got to meet those levels.
Okay. Thank you. I had no more questions.
Okay.
Mike?
Yeah, so actually one of my questions was, and maybe it's directed at our administrative team, and that is who's going to ultimately decide what color we use in which applications? Because in my experience in dealing with LED lighting is that it is somewhat subjective. What I like as my task lighting versus what my wife would like is sometimes totally different. So how are we going to handle deciding what gets installed where? That's a concern.
We're going to have to survey some of our own internal publics on that and have a sampling of what each type looks like. And then we may have to come up with a decision that gets implemented across the district based on its usage, whether it's in an administrative office or a classroom. There's a great deal more reflection.
So we have a lot of work to do in this.
Oh, yeah, and it may not be a one-size-fits-all either. So when we think about our mindfulness rooms, it may be a different heat level, or I'm sorry, color, warm, cool level when we think about classroom spaces versus non-instructional spaces. So one of the things I would like to do is, this is not BrightCore, we're not BrightCore's first client. I'm curious to know what they chose in neighboring districts, what they've chosen in other districts.
What they would do differently.
And if there's anything that they would do differently. So I think one of the things that we would do is reach out to the administrative teams in some of those districts to just find out what's working, what didn't work, what would you have changed about this process. But I also don't think it's a one-size-fits-all answer, because I think the demands of the room will dictate the lighting that we have. But for the general classroom, for the cafeteria, for the gym, I think there's some survey work that we need to do. Because I don't know. I'm not an expert in kelvins and 4,000 and 3,000.
We'll have engineers helping us design it, and they're going to tell us what is, required, what we can and can't do, because they've always guided us with that stuff. They know what SED is going to require, and then we have there's a small gap in there between what SED requires and what we can do, and we can decide from within that gap.
And would it also make a difference, and I don't know, younger students versus the older students, a different lighting?
And that's where I think the conversations with some of the other districts will come in, because when you get a fluorescent bulb, you have very few options in terms of what you can put in. So I'd love to know what we've had, because what we have been doing has worked. I haven't received too many complaints about the quality of the lighting in the classroom, outside of the fact that when the bulbs start to degrade, they're dim, and it gets dark in the classrooms. And that is a very common complaint. But when the bulbs are fresh in a classroom, the lighting in the room itself has not been so much of an issue. So I think I'd love to know where we are, get some baseline data, and then survey some of the other districts to find out what they've done. Obviously, talk to our architects and their engineers to find out what they would recommend as well. I don't think we have the answer in isolation, and I don't think you want us to have the answer
I
in
remember
isolation.
when we were doing our pool, and the engineer was giving us specs for lighting, because there are specific specs for what your foot candle is at different places, and I'm assuming it's the same for in a classroom.
That's
and
right.
the engineer's going to have that information.
That's right.
They're going to guide us.
And if you think about the benchmark of where you are today, if you look in the ceiling, you have different colored lights up here.
Yeah.
So you've got some bright whites, you've got some duller ones there. So what would happen is the school would, once you make the decision and you say, oh, it's closer to this light than it is to that light, once you make the decision, then it would all be consistent. Your facility will look better with that consistency. It will look, better in the cafeteria, better down the hallways. While there's decisions to be made there, there's a lot of experience, as Dr. Hatter was explaining. We can take you to other facilities, we can install some, so to make sure you're happy with them. Because trust me, we do not want to install a lot of things and have you say, that's not what I want. That's not our goal.
So one of the other things that is going through my mind is if we do this across the district all at once, just using this room as an example, I don't know how many fixtures are in here. There's at least maybe 2 dozen. 15 years from now, half of them are out at the same time because they're all installed at the same time and they're all using the same number of hours. And if you multiply that across the district, we have an enormous replacement cost. So what happens?
So if I can just comment on that. So the hours of use in a classroom will be half of what they are in this cafeteria. And we've done the scope on these 7,500 fixtures, and we've registered all of the hours that those are. So it's not going to happen all at the same time. They will happen over time. It's possible that 15 years from now that, in this cafeteria, you'd do a wholesale replacement, but it won't happen district-wide. It's just not the way lighting's used. Just like in your home, the kitchen ones are going to burn out before the bedroom ones. Or, yeah.
It's still going to be a lot at one time at some point. I mean, that's, what do we do
We've
next?
talked about that, but, we've also talked about that some may go at 15, some may go at 20,
I get it. Some may go at 11. We don't know.
Yeah.
and they may.
Right.
Usually like
Okay.
the home appliances, they all go roughly
Correct.
at the same time.
It's the issue that you have even with fluorescent lighting, right? If you were to say, hey, we need to redo this room or something, it's the same issue.
We're all going to go at the same time.
It's just that, it's got a much longer
This is a
lifetime.
$2 million replacement cost.
No, because they're not just replacing bulbs. They've got all the other pieces that's adding to the cost. It's not the bulb cost.
Okay.
Pete, do you have
But
questions?
those also will fail.
One of the things I do like about doing the project is at once as opposed to staggering it is, we've been doing construction in this district for 13 years, so every year we've been replacing lights and we have not caught up. And there are still some buildings that suffer badly with lights and others have quite nice lights. And I just think it would be nice for everybody to have at the same time to have decent lighting in this district. I think it would be helpful and right.
Well,
also means
when
you're
that
replacing
replacement can actually pay for itself to do that, then
It's even better,
it makes
yes.
sense, yeah.
The lights that we're replacing it at half the wattage.
I understand.
It's a savings.
Not arguing with that part.
Okay.
Not at all.
Anybody have any other questions? Any comments?
No more questions.
We're good?
Okay.
Ron, thank
Next
you so
steps.
much, and Jody, thank you so much. I think next steps would be steering would.
We need to talk to Margot about,
So,
Certain pieces.
if I can add one other thing.
Sure.
So my partner here reminded me. So one of the questions we get is, how do I know this is going to save money, right? How do I know that I see you're replacing these bulbs. What we typically do is isolate an area, like let's say we did this cafeteria and we told you this is the draw on this right now, and we can get a circuit that addresses all of this lighting, then we can measure it once we put the new LEDs in and verify for you that in fact you're going to see a 59% drop. So we can't guarantee savings because you're in control of whether the lights are on or off, but we can tell you that we've calibrated this as it goes, as it's installed, and this is what you will see.
And I assume all of these work with our auto on-off features that we already have installed, switches?
If they don't, we'll replace the switches. When we did the audit, we audited for all of those rooms if they have occupancy sensors or not. And if they do, then we'll replace the occupancy sensor to make sure it's compatible with the LED.
And that's part of what SED reviews in the engineering document.
Yes.
Part of what the engineering company will do is they'll make sure that
Okay.
all the occupancy sensors and everything's up to code.
And this includes the emergency lights and all that, the other
Yes.
stuff that SED is always on us that we have to keep
Yes,
up.
it does. Yep. And I think it's exterior on the lighting that's on the building. You've done the parking lots, but it's the lighting that's on the building. There's wall packs on the building.
Can we flip on an admin?
There's the theater lighting. You can see some of the examples of the lighting. I think it's page 17 and 18. It has just samples of the lighting that we'll be using, and the theater lighting as well.
Anybody else? Tom, do you have any comments about this?
I've got one question.
Oh, go ahead, Pete. In the microphone, please.
Sorry, the companies that you're displaying here, those are the companies you use?
Yes.
Or just examples of?
Those would be the companies we use.
Okay.
I do have one question
Yep.
that's pending before our legal counsel. Perhaps you know the answer, since you've worked in other districts in Westchester County. SED does this review and provides building aid without voter authorization of some kind?
Without board authorization?
Right. Typically, something that qualifies as a capital project requires the taxpayers to approve it in advance. Is that not the case with this kind of a
That's
setup?
not the case.
Thank you.
Anything else? We really appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We will be back to you.
Okay.
Thank you. All right. We're going to move on? All right. Oh, God, it's late. Where we are? Oh, we're up to the personnel agenda. Okay. Go quick. Upon recommendation of the superintendent, a motion that the following be approved. We have certified personnel, part-time appointments, tenure appointment, regular substitute, addition to substitute list, coaches and co-curriculars, coaches, and a couple of corrections. And we have classified personnel appointments for civil service, additions to substitute list, another police officer monitor, and a resignation.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Where am I? Can I have a motion to approve the minutes of the February 11th, 25th, and March 4th board meetings?
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Treasurer's report, a motion to approve the treasurer's report for February 2019.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? A motion to approve the claims audit report for February 2019.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? A motion to approve the extra classroom activity report for February 2019.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We have KSQ, a motion to approve the work authorization for Phase 2 projects for KSQ architects. The basic service fees will be derived from the pricing schedule in the previously approved master agreement.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We have the bid award. I don't want to read the whole thing. So whereas the Board of Education, in accordance with Article 5A of the General Municipal Law, has invited sealed bids for the furnishing of material and labor necessary for district-wide improvements for 2019 project, where bids were open publicly on February 21st, 2019. We have 2 bidders were eliminated. They withdrew their bids. Therefore, be it resolved upon recommendation of KSQ and Aris Contracting, construction manager, that we approve the following. General construction contract base bid and alternates and restrooms goes to Vinco Buildings. VAC construction goes to Walden, MDS HVAC in Walden, and electrical construction contract goes to, and the base bid, and the alternate goes to Albright Electric of West Nyack, New York.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Okay. Southern Westchester BOCES, whereas a desire to participate in school district with Southern Westchester Board of Cooperative Educational Services adopting the resolution to jointly bid the supplies and commodities and materials and equipment set forth below.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Health and welfare. A motion to approve the following contracts for health and welfare to provide services provided to resident pupils attending non-public schools in other school districts for the 18-19 school year. We have Somers and Greenberg.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Macon Fence. A motion to approve the agreement with Mancon LLC to remove and replace the net system at the Yorktown High School baseball field at a cost not to exceed $11,800, and to ratify the actions of the Assistant Superintendent for Business in authorizing a purchase order for materials prior to a board approval so that the project can be completed prior to the start of the athletic season.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Gymnastics merger. Resolved upon recommendation of the superintendent, the Board of Ed does hereby approve the merger of the Yorktown, Somers, Henrik Hudson, and Croton Harmon Central School District for girls varsity gymnastics for the 1920 season as per the merger application.
So moved.
Second. I know, I already asked who they're going to play. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Dan Clayton. A motion to approve the agreement with Dan Clayton for construction and installation of heavy-duty all-aluminum bleachers based on the Sourcewell contract at a cost not to exceed $68,910, pending receipt of required insurance documents. Just so you know, this is for the bleachers at the athletic field.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Bauman. A motion to approve the extension of the transportation contract with Bauman Bus for a 5-year period from 2019-20 to the 23-24 year. The Board of Education hereby authorizes and empowers the board president to execute the agreement with Bauman Bus based on a letter of agreement with Bauman Bus dated March 5, 2019.
Discussion?
Sure.
Can I just ask where we are
Got a
in
motion.
terms of Bauman and their fire and their facilities? I know that's not what this is, but while they're out there.
Sure, sure. So Bauman's dispatch operations continues to be housed at Building B on our campus. Their 2 bays on Front Street are operable, so that's where they're servicing their buses at their depot on Front Street.
And that arrangement is working out okay?
So far, so good, and we anticipate that to be the arrangement through June 30th of this school year.
All right, thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
What?
First or second?
Can I have a motion? And a
So
second?
moved.
You went out of order.
Sorry, you got
Yes.
anxious.
You messed the whole thing up.
Second discussion. Discussion had. Go ahead.
Troublemaker. Have a motion and a second?
Motion, she seconded.
All
and
those in
discussed.
favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay. Best Web. Resolved upon that the Board of Education approve the master service agreement with Best Web pursuant to the terms in the attached contract which have been reviewed and approved by the School District Council, and authorizes the board president to execute said contract.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Surplus. Motion to declare the following items surplus with some value as equipment has reached its useful life expectancy, is damaged or has been upgraded and accessed, but retains a monetary value and will be auctioned via Absolute Auctions and Reality Inc.
What?
Realty. Read it. What does it say to you?
I skipped that part. I'm looking at the bottom of the list. What are you on? With some value,
Realty,
equipment
that's
has
not what it
reached its
is.
useful life expectancy, is damaged, upgraded, and accessed, but
Realty.
retains a
All
monetary
right.
value and will be
Anyway, can I have this motion in a second?
Oh, you're not going to read the list?
No, I'm not going to read. You want to read the list? I'll cede to you. Then-
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
I oppose. It's getting late, you can tell. Budget transfers. Motion to approve the budget transfers below.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Secra. Whereas the Board of Education of the Yorktown Central School District is proposing a capital project consisting of improvements to district buildings and facilities, including but not limited to district-wide air conditioning to large learning spaces and related electrical upgrades, district-wide e-steam facility upgrades, district-wide security upgrades, Yorktown High School guidance suite renovations, and auditorium upgrades and related site and incidental work. Therefore, related thereto, the proposed action, and whereas the Board of Education proposes to proceed with the proposed action and wishes to take all actions necessary in connection therewith in order to comply with the State Environmental Quality Act review, and therefore be it resolved that the Board of Education, Yorktown Central School District, determines that the proposed action, including each and all of the components, is a Type 2 action pursuant to Section 617.5C 1.2 and/or 8 of the SEQA regulations, and will not have any significant environmental impacts.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. That was more who wrote that, I could tell. Capital projects. Be it resolved that the following proposition be placed on the ballot for the annual district meeting of the voters of the Yorktown Central School District to be conducted on May 21st, 2019. It is a capital project proposition with the same items that were in the SECRA.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Curriculum and instruction. A motion to approve the following Yorktown Congress of Teachers professional improvement proposals listed below.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Interprep, be resolved upon recommendation of the superintendent. The Board of Education hereby authorizes the superintendent to execute an agreement with Greg Duncan, Interprep, Inc. for world language consultative assistance to the district on a mutually agreed upon topics for 2 additional days during the 18-19 school year in the amount not to exceed $6,000.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Special ed, a motion to approve the placements as of March 25th, 2019.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We have gift grants and donations. A motion to accept with gratitude the following gifts, grants, and donations. Yorktown High School, $1,222 from the Italian-American Committee on Education for partial reimbursement for AP students for AP exam fees. $630 from the following individuals for transportation and lodging for Yorktown High School students attending the New York Tech Valley First Robotics Regional Tournament. They're listed below. $8 from the New York Life Your Cause Employee Match Program. Yorktown High School Athletics, $35,495.15 from the Huskers Club for airfare, hotel, and travel expenses for the boys' varsity baseball trip to Florida.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We're up to public comments. Anybody wishing to speak? Okay. I am up to board comments. Pete? Mike?
Great meeting. Thank you to the superintendent and the cabinet for another excellent budget season and process. I know it takes a long time. It's a lot of hard work, and thank you for doing such a thorough job, and that helps make our jobs a little bit easier when it comes to reviewing and approving things. So thank you for that.
Rashmi?
Ditto, I'm good.
Cheryl?
I just want to say congratulations to Patrice and Amanda. They're such a valuable resource for our district. Patrice will be sorely missed.
Lisa?
Just thank you for everything with the budget. It's really appreciated. Thanks, guys.
And those kids were far too cute, and that they're learning how to recycle and care about the environment at such a young age, and gilding us in with that tree. Is that going in central office now?
It's in the Brookside lobby. It's beautiful.
It's really awesome. But yeah, our teachers are doing a phenomenal job with the UN Sustainable Goals and really teaching our kids to value the world around them. So I'm really appreciative of that. Ron, Lisa, Tom, anything? All right. I have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?